In The Wizard of Oz, there is a line that goes, "You're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy." And sometimes, living here in France, I get the feeling that you're not in the US anymore, Patricia. In this video, I'm going to share with you 6 things that are reminders that I am in France and not in the US. Now, thank you so much for watching today. Please consider subscribing to my channel and clicking the notification bell so that each time I upload a video about moving abroad, life in France, or finding the confidence and courage to live life on your terms, you will be notified. My name is Patricia Brooks, and in 2018, I moved from Richmond, Virginia to the south of France. And as I've said before, it's been an incredible experience filled with ups and downs. And some of those downs have to do with cultural differences. In this video, I'm going to be a little bit lighter about them and share with you 6 things that are reminders that I am no longer in the United States. So the first one happened when I first arrived here. I had signed up for a French language class, and as a part of that, there was a computer language lab where I could take quizzes and do lessons. And in trying to register for those lessons and trying to log in for those lessons, I struggled. I would go to type in my username and my password, and I could not get in. And I tried over and over and over again. Finally, I looked down at the keyboard and I realized that, the keyboard was different. It was not the QWERTY keyboard. You know, if you look at the US keyboard, the top line reads QWERTY. It was not that. It was a different keyboard altogether. It was, I think, an AZERTY keyboard where the top line reads AZERTY. And so the other letters are all jumbled up too. So I took typing back in senior year of high school. And so I've been typing, not looking at keys for a very long time. And so I'm typing something and something different comes out. That's so frustrating. That was the first big reminder or tip that I was no longer in the US. And it was really frustrating. And something as little as that, you don't think matters, but it does. And in fact, when I had to buy a new computer a couple of years ago, I had to have it shipped from the US because there was no way that I was willing to learn how to type using a different kind of keyboard. So that was number 1. Number 2 was in my first year too. When I would go to the pharmacy to pick up prescriptions, the pharmacist or the person behind the counter would always ask for my carte vitale. Now, this is the national insurance card here in France. And when I would tell them, I don't have one, I'm paying cash, they would look at me like I had 3 heads. Yeah, and I couldn't understand, what's the big deal? I don't have this card. Well, 2 years later, when I started dating a French guy, he was surprised that I didn't have this card either. As a resident, I'm like, I'm not a citizen, I'm just a resident. He's like, yeah, you qualify for this card. And so he helped me to file the papers, and a few months later, I got this card. And now I go into the pharmacy, I'm able to produce it. But for me as an American, the right to have health insurance is not a right. If you have a job, maybe you have health insurance, maybe you don't. That's just a difference in culture. But it was a big one that I didn't realize was such a big one until I got the card. So that is the second thing. Now, another thing that is different here in France is banking security. When I worked for a credit card company back in the early 2000s, they were talking about putting chips in the credit cards. When I arrived in France in 2018, my credit card did not have a chip in it. But in France, everybody's credit card had a chip in it, and they could just put the card in the card reader and they didn't have to swipe it, right? So that was one difference. But when I talk about bank security, I'm talking about I want to buy something online, and I have to jump through different hoops. At least they are different a couple of years ago. Maybe the US has come up to speed a little bit on that. But one of the things I have to do is if I'm purchasing something online with my bank card here in France, I will be asked to look at this card that they have sent me in the mail. And this card has, 7 or 8 rows and maybe 7 or 10 columns. And down the rows, there are numbers. And across the columns, there are letters. And so I will go to purchase this thing, and then it says verifying purchase, and then it'll ask me to look at this card and go to row 3B and to input what number is on the card in that column and in that row. And so I'm purchasing something, and I've got to stop. I've got to go to my file, my banking file, to find this card, right? And so it's like, oh, I really have to jump through hoops to be able to purchase this. And I don't think necessarily it's a bad thing. It's just something that I'm not used to. And it's a reminder that, oh, yeah, things are different here. So that is the third thing. One thing that still is a little frustrating and was this morning when I was trying to open a package of cheese was that food packages here are not easy to open, even when they say easy open. They have a little tab in the corner and you're supposed to peel the tab. I have to fight with it. And eventually I get a pair of scissors, got to search for the scissors, and then I cut it open. So in the US, the packages seem to be more user-friendly and less frustrating for me. And that's a reminder that, oh yeah, you're not in the US anymore. Along with that is that there are not a lot of packages here in France that are reclosable or resealable. In the US, it seems like everything's got a little Ziploc to keep things nice and fresh. And perhaps that's because we have packages that are huge, but I can't eat a whole package of anything that I purchase as a person living alone. So it would really be nice to have resealable options here. But it's like I said, it's just a reminder that not in the US anymore. The fifth thing that tips me off to the fact that I'm not in the US anymore, even though things are starting to feel a little bit more normal for me, is that when I talk to somebody, I have to figure out whether I'm going to use the tu form or the vous form of the pronoun you. And this is not anything you have to worry about in the US. You're having a conversation with a professor, you say you. You have a conversation with your best friend, you say you. You don't have to navigate, oh, can I say you? Or can I say the more formal you? Or must I use the more formal you? I was at the bakery a couple of days ago and I ran into a woman who I take Qigong classes with. I don't know her well. Classes just started. And so we struck up a conversation and we were starting to get to know each other better. And I was feeling like, oh, I just want to say tu, but can I? So I said to her, on se peut tutoyer. And that means, can we use the tu form of you? And of course she said yes. And most times when I say this, people say, oh, of course. And sometimes they'll even follow it with, oh, it's really not so simple. And I think to myself, yeah, it's not. And I will agree. I said, yeah, it's not so simple, especially for somebody who has not been raised to know the nuances. Finally, this last one is something I really enjoy about the French language and the French people. And it has to do with politeness. I was at a doctor's waiting room and I was sitting there. And I was there for about 20 minutes. And over that course of time, 3 or 4 people entered the waiting room and sat down. And as they entered the waiting room, they said bonjour. They said bonjour to everybody. And I thought, how nice. And I said bonjour back. Everybody greeted them. And I thought, that's a really lovely thing to do. That's not anything that happens in the US, but to me, I really like it. It's a reminder, but I really like it. On the same note, I was at a Halloween party in my first year here. And the only person I knew was the hostess. And she introduced me to her friends, and that was great. And we had a good time. We ate and we drank a lot, and it was a good time. But at the end, when people started to leave, I noticed this interesting thing. The people who left, they didn't just go greet the hostess and say, thank you for a good time, look forward to seeing you again, and leave. No, they went around to everybody who was at the party, and they said goodbye to everybody. Au revoir, à bientôt. And I noticed that, and I took their lead, but it took me forever to leave that party. It's not something that I grew up doing or is a part of the American culture. I think it's nice, but it's different. And it's a reminder that, yeah, I'm in a different country. I'm in a different culture. So hopefully those have been interesting for you, different ones to share with you. Which one of those surprises you the most? Comment below. Now, living abroad comes with so many challenges. You've got to figure out the administrative stuff, but you've also got to figure out how to integrate and keep your sanity. And if you're considering making a move abroad and you want to make sure you've got all of your bases covered, I'd love to have a conversation with you to see where you are, where you want to be, what things might be holding you back, and if working with me might help get you there sooner. I'm going to put a link to my calendar in the description so that you can find a time for us to talk, and we'll take it from there. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe. That is all I have for you today. I will see you again next time. Bye for now.